Howdy ho, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. I'm going to ask for some prayers tonight for the state of Florida and anybody that's in the path to follow whatever you're being told to do it. We're not in the path. We might see some rain. We might see some wind. We're not on the coast. We're fine. So we are way west in the panhandle. So don't worry about us. Worry about those people that are out there. I also wanted to say hi to family that is listening tonight. And just know I'm thinking about you. And Todd, hi. I know you're there. So tonight, my guest is Cheryl Ann Elliott-Fletcher. We are going to talk to her tonight about everything that she's been working on since we've moved. So come on, bring Cheryl Ann on. Hey there.
Hey there.
So I want to say hi to Chad and Susan. So Cheryl Ann, what have you been working on since we moved?
Well, as you know, when you were getting ready to move, I had started writing a book and talked about long days and long time and being on a computer, learning that, if you don't stick with it and be diligent to do a book, and you find yourself going, well, that TV show isn't very appealing like it used to be anymore because you're telling your life story. You're giving your heart on paper, your mind on paper about things that you've been doing for many years, or your subject, which my subject in the book went from wanting to write my bio about things that I've been through all my life, a sense of death experience, and a lot of people know about that, but that happened when I was 11. I said, going through all the paranormal stuff in my 20s and starting a business in my 30s and then going into the 40s, having my son and raising him, that when I hit my 60s, I said, I am definitely going to write a book. There were two things in my book or about my book, was the idea, one, that I finally told everything about the things I've been through that not a lot of people knew about. The book itself, I have it here. It's called Raw, and here it is. It's Raw. My book is Raw, right there. That's the book, and it is the afterlife versus schizophrenia. And the reason why I chose that particular subject is because I have realized throughout the years that going against psychologists for myself, being able to tell them about their past and things that they've been through, that schizophrenia, as a big pharmaceutical will label you as, if you're hearing from the afterlife or you're hearing from voices and seeing things, that you must be nuts. Well, no, no, you're not nuts. I have decided that writing this book about the afterlife versus schizophrenia is that I was going to go out and prove that hearing voices isn't schizophrenia. It's called being super sensitive human beings, and we carry a great big gift that the majority of the world in the last 20, 30 years hasn't been able to really adapt to, with people that, like myself, like you, Denise, and people that we know are fully capable of effectively communicating with the afterlife. And how I went from that to schizophrenia is being able to be in a building, a facility, and having a person who had been labeled. It was easier to shove a pill down your throat than to deal with the fact that gifted people have a lot to say because they carry a lot from the afterlife into the present time. Well, so when I got ready to write this book, I said, you know what? I can't clarify that if I don't have probable information that was true to fact. So when I decided I was going to do this, I said, I got to work with somebody who is schizophrenic. I need to take them off medication and go and have a ghost hunt with that person just to kind of identify with what they're hearing opposed to what I'm hearing, or how are they working in the haunted world like I am. I wanted to compare apples to apples to see if I was onto something, because taking somebody off their medication that would suppress all the voices, wonder if they were hearing what I was hearing. So I took a person into a building and had them go off medication per their doctor. And they were at one end of the building, and I'm over here at the other end of the building, and we have headsets on. And both of us are hearing the same exact verbatim things from the afterlife together, separate rooms. And they were not able to hear what I was hearing, and I wasn't able to hear what they were hearing in the room itself, because we had headsets on. So like I couldn't hear if there was a noise over there, and he couldn't hear if there was a noise over here. So with that being said, and him writing it down verbatim to what I was hearing, spurred me off onto the idea, wait a minute, you're off your meds and you're able to hear what I'm hearing. Does that make me schizophrenic, or does that make you super sensitive like me? So how I broke the ice, how I broke that stream of thought was, okay, let's talk about who you're hearing from. And at that location, that individual was able to tell me who passed away on that site, describe that individual to the letter, along with myself, but we were writing it down completely separate from each other in different rooms. So the test was done, and when I got done with that, I said, there we go. Now I'm going to write about it. So what happened was I decided to write the book that shows all the experiences I've had in my life and how it will, in fact, reflect onto people that have supposed schizophrenia, because when they read this book, they're going to be saying, Jesus criminy, this girl has been through things similar to me. And I've had like 6 different book signings now from different locations, different states, all over. And when I do a book signing, I also guest speak and then have Q&A. And I can't even tell you how many people will come back to me later after reading this book, and they go, you know, how could that be? How could she have experienced similar things that I have? And she's a normal, healthy lady living her best life without meds. So obviously I'm not a schizophrenic person, because I would have been, well, you know, told to be on meds a long time ago, and I'm completely sane.
I have a question.
Sure.
So my question would be, could a person that's on meds still hear spirits speaking to them?
Absolutely. And that depends, of course, on, you know, a couple of things, Denise, what I realized and found out later. You know, doctors will shove a pill down your throat at a certain percentage or dose, whatever, until they increase it until you get to the point where you're numb and you no longer can function. So, you know, they can kind of quiet the voices, but I'm sorry, you just don't shut them up. You can't shut up a spirit. If God wants them to talk to you, they're going to talk to you. Period. Hands down. I know people, well, I knew people that used to be on drugs. Now they're all on organic foods, organic everything. Mm-hmm. And they're no longer on the meds. And guess what? They're fine. If you eliminate a lot of the man-made foods and go strictly organic and get off the medications, well, that's my opinion. You're going to be fine. But that's my opinion.
Right. Because you don't have a ton of medical backing that up. But there are people out there that do go as natural, everything natural. Their deodorant, their shampoo, all the foods that they eat, they either grow their own or they, you know, make sure that they buy it from people that they trust. Hey, Donna, I love you. And so in that case, they do it for a reason. I mean, I know a lot of people who've had cancer that do that to try to beat the cancer.
Exactly.
And, we have way too many additives and stuff. I mean, why do we have MSG instead of salt? Why do we have high fructose corn syrup and stevia and all this other stuff instead of sugar?
Right.
I don't get it, and I never will. And I do think that the pharmaceutical companies and the FDA are, and I'm probably going to get in trouble. I think that they're the reason that we have a lot of illness in this country that other places don't have as much of, because of the things that we allow to put in our body. And people out there that are listening, check out the ingredients in instant oatmeal here and instant oatmeal in the UK. There's like 5 ingredients in theirs.
Right.
25 in ours, and half of them you can't even say what they are.
Well, the United States pharmaceutical wouldn't survive if they didn't have what I call guinea pigs like ourselves. Put everybody on a pill, and God forbid if you go off that pill without a doctor's okay. Some get pretty mad, but remember, they don't work. You don't work for them. They work for you, because if they didn't have you as a patient, they wouldn't have cha-ching in the bank. So in all actuality, you are in total control of your living environment, as well as what you do for food, what you take for a headache, whatever.
Yeah.
But all your headaches, all your illnesses and everything, especially inflammation, especially your headaches, are all caused by what you eat. In like boxes, and anything that's been sprayed with pesticides.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not eating organic or growing your own, or getting meat from a packing plant and not your grocery store, or getting your vegetables from a vegetable stand, or grow your own at not in your basement when it's wintertime, grow your own, because all of that has the true things that our body totally needs, and we don't need everything in a box or what's on the shelf. Yeah.
If it comes in a bottle, box, can, or jar, start thinking about do you really need it?
Well, look at
your I know I need from a bottle or a jar is gravy. I cannot make gravy to save my life.
Right. Right.
Almost anything else I can make. I can make my own evaporated milk. I can make my own condensed milk. I can make anything if I have to. Cannot make gravy. And Karen, Ron's mom, who's in the chat, she's tried to show me multiple times. And I'd like to say hi to Stephanie and Bill and Chad again. I forgot. And Chad, no, this isn't the first time I was on this network. I just took a long break between April and August because of moving. So, but that was it. And so you guys know, Donna's my sister.
Hi, Donna.
That's why I told her I love her. And hello, Cassie. It's good to see you. And for those of you who didn't hear, we are fine. We are in the Pensacola area. We're not in any danger of being hit with the storm. Maybe a little rain, maybe a little wind. We're in a non-evacuation zone. We're in a non-flood zone. So we should be good. If we get 2 inches of rain, the worst thing that's going to happen is we get a little water under our garage door. So
hurricane shutters are up.
Ron said the hurricane shutters are up.
Right on.
But proof right here, they are not. You can see outside. So he's lying.
That's your imagination.
But as I was saying, I mean, I'm shutting my shade here because I've got some back glare here.
Yeah, you still got daylight.
See? It's only like 7:15 here, so
yeah, 7:15 here because we're closer to the equator. The sun is a little bit different angle. We're already getting dark, and we are in the central time zone. For people who wonder, all of Florida is not Eastern.
Yay!
So how did with the book?
Mm-hmm.
did somebody come to you and say, hey, you know, schizophrenia and this is very similar. Can we check it out? Or did you just go one day like, I hear voices. That's normal. Why, why ain't I on medication and all these other people are? Is that kind of how it came about?
Well, it's kind of, thanks for bringing that up because that's a deep subject. It really wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I actually was taking care of a few kids at my house. And one of my boys had gone to counseling, and he said, "Hi, Sherry." He went into counseling, and he said, "Hey, my friend's mom. Are you ready? She's psychotic."
Psychotic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the counselor says, "Oh, she is she?" And Tony says, "Yeah, but she's really cool because you know why? She can see people that are dead, and she can talk to them and converse with them and help them." And he's over here going, "Really?" So it wasn't until like a week later, his counselor calls me up and says, "Would you mind coming in and talking to me sometime, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Oh, is it because I'm really psychotic?" and she was like, "Well, the counselor wants to talk to you too because, they're thinking about placement for Tony with you." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I go in and I'm already down this trip. I don't know how many times. It's called, being able to prove who you are, right? Well, casually I go in and sit down, and he's like asking me, all these questions, kind of like a hot seat, drilling me. And finally I said to him, Dr. Saxena was his name, and I'm not afraid to share that name. He goes, I go, "Dr. Saxena, is there some reason why I'm here? And why are you probing me like this? Like I'm some kind of a nutcase?" And he said, "Well, Tony said you were psychotic and that you could see and hear from people and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, let's talk about that." And he goes, "Well, yeah, let's talk about that." Like, come on, really? And I said, "Okay, so back in the day when you were like in your 15, 16 years of age, blah, blah, blah. And then when you hit about 19, 20 years of age, you did this with your girlfriend." And, I just started rattling my mouth, when I get going and I start seeing it. It's like I tell people, it's like a movie. In my head, it's like a movie night. And I just follow along and watch the action go down, and I decipher what's going on, and I tell people about it. And we're talking about this person's life, their prior years of living. And he got really quiet. And he asked me, he said, "How long have you done this?" I said, "Well, it's been probably at this point in time about 25, 28 years, maybe. I've been like this." And he says to me, "Well, I think everything's going to be all right, Mrs. Fletcher." He goes, "It was really nice talking to you." And I stood up and I said, "And you were so afraid." And I laughed. But that's what inspired me. I mean, I went toe to toe, Denise, with the psychologist. Now, let me tell you something. This man had, I don't know how many degrees on his wall. And I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah, but you go in there going, "Oh, he said psychotic," and the guy's going, he's thinking, "Oh my God, is she going to have a knife in her purse or something like that? Is she going to kill me?" Blah, that kind of stuff. And so you know that the kid misstated psychic or psychotic for psychic,
right?
He was not prepared for that. He just thought that you were schizophrenic,
right?
You were hearing stuff. And I want to say hi again to Todd because now I know he's here.
But you're right. You're on the right track because at this point in time, he's thinking, "What the hell just happened?" Mm-hmm. Because if your credibility skyrockets when you are up against somebody who is qualified in that sense of, mental health, And then it came down to the fact that this happened, my gosh, like 15 years ago. I was at a big ghost hunt thing, and a good friend of mine, Kelly, came in, and Mikel, and she came in, and She masters in psychology, does counseling, and her daughter, I actually helped in school because I was a paraeducator for like 2 years. And her daughter was telling her about me, and she's like, I need to talk to her, you know. And so I convinced this woman to come to a ghost hunt just to hang out with me, and see what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was in the drawing. I put myself out there for 4 hours as a draw, to if somebody could win me for 4 hours, and I would spend time with that person for 4 hours reading or whatever. So she won me.
Mm-hmm.
Spent 3.5 hours reading her, and the other time we were over dinner eating. And when we got done, it wasn't even right after we got done. She said, "You know something, Cheryl?" She said, "All the effing money that I spent in school, this just blew all the theories out of the water." She got to see his ghost touch. She got to see me in action. She got a reading from me that was breathtaking, shocking, emotionally. She was like blown away. And for 3.5 hours, I had her. You know what I mean? I had her whole life in my heart. And I was able to tell her things that nobody could have known about her own husband's death and what she went through during her pregnancy and delivery. I mean, just personal, intimate things that I told her that nobody could have known. And we talked about her mom passing and things that mom was trying to tell her. And she was like, she wondered for years if that's what that meant, things that happened through the years, and how she never was able to get clarification until that time. So Mikal said to me then, "You ought to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book about this. You need to write a book about your gift that God's given to you. And you need to write a book about schizophrenia." She said, "Because what you have taught me is that it just doesn't freaking exist."
I think it probably does exist. That's the one thing I'm going to go that route right now. I think it does exist, but when it does, it's truly an illness, and
Mhm.
there is something that's not right, but it may have been triggered. And I love this. It may have been triggered by oppression,
Right.
may have been possession, and that
Right. There it is.
misdiagnosed.
Right.
May have been.
Exactly.
Do we know that for a fact? We don't.
Right.
And so I don't want to be irresponsible and say that all schizophrenia is probably paranormal, because it's not. It's just like all sleep paralysis is not paranormal.
Right.
It happens. It happens to most of us as we get older, regardless.
Mhm.
So that's what people need to keep in mind. Make sure that you do get a medical diagnosis.
Mhm.
And if you're questioning that medical diagnosis, get a second and third opinion and check out the fact that it could be something organic.
Organic, exactly. And it could be that you are developing a third connection with the universe too, and you could be tapping into something that isn't diagnosed as schizophrenia.
Right.
Like my nephew, I'm going to give you an example. My nephew has been clarified as schizophrenic. When I wrote this book, he looked at me and goes, "Cheryl, is that about me?" And I said, "Well, it kind of does touch a little bit on what you've been through." He said, "I swear to God," he goes, "I tell my mom all the time that I see people, and then I talk to them." And I said, "Jesse, are you still doing that during medication?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, there's my point, my opinion. What I wrote about is if you're still having that and you're on the highest dose medication, well, obviously something is not right with all of that diagnosis. I'm sorry. I just wish people, I just wish that people would read this book, and before they take somebody to get a diagnosis medically,
Mm-hmm.
that they give them the freedom to explore ghost hunting.
They need to make sure that if they've been diagnosed, and even if they haven't, that they do look down every avenue.
Right, exactly.
Because right now, long story short is I have a doctor that is trying to work on getting me diagnosed with what caused the health issues.
Right.
All of them since 2018. Okay. Trying to figure out what's going on. Again, she works for me. There's less there's less people here, so the doctors have more time to work on people. Okay, keep that in mind.
Right.
But she is doing that because we need to know what's wrong. She wants to get me off medication for my own good. Me being on medication doesn't do her any good.
No.
That's what people need to realize. Unless your doctor owns stock in, well, what is it called? The medicine I told you not to take.
Right. The statin or
Lipitor.
Lipitor. Yes.
It's like everybody's, all the doctors at one time were all prescribing Lipitor.
Yeah.
And people are allergic to it, and they're telling them, "Oh, it'll work itself out. Keep on taking it." You can't walk. You can't get out of bed, and they're still telling you to take this stuff.
Right.
So, I told them I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it. I need something that's more for me, that's going to keep me alive, not the doctor and money. So keep that in mind too when you're doing all this stuff. Is the doctor working for you, looking out for your own best interest, or are they out for themselves? Because when I suggested to Cheryl Ann that she take this other medication, Cheryl Ann went to her doctor, and her doctor was apparently out for Cheryl Ann, changed her to this other prescription, and she's doing great.
Right.
Same thing for Ron. I talked to his doctor, who was my doctor, and said, he's not going to take this. You need to put him on something else. I'm his wife. I know him better than you do.
Right.
I'm the prescribing person here. And so needless to say, it's important that you have that kind of trust in your doctor, that you know that they are going to listen to you and what you want done.
Mm-hmm.
Our doctors listened to us when we were told them, hey, we're trying to do this naturally. We're trying to do it with, herbs and vitamins and stuff. And when it didn't happen over 4 years, then they pushed the medicine on us.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Right.
So like I said, keep that in mind with any treatment, no matter what it is. You've got to be your own advocate.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know what's going on and only take the medication that you personally agree with what's in it.
Do your homework.
Yeah, because you don't want, if you truly need Zoloft or whatever they're prescribing these days, Celebrex, I think is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you truly need it, take it. But if you don't,
look for other alternatives.
Yeah, look for other alternatives. Whether it's St. John's wort or valerian root, it may work, but don't take my word for it. You have to do what's best for you. Back to some conversation we all had back during COVID days.
Yeah.
You got to do what's best for you. And, check out Cheryl Ann's book. If you are hearing voices,
right.
It may save you a lot of money on medication.
Yeah, exactly. And if people really do want that book, the best way to get that book is just friend me on Facebook, or, just hit me up on Facebook, send me a message. The book alone is $20, and I set it out for $5. So it's really $25 because that covers shipping and all that jazz. But I'd rather it come from me, because therefore I can sign it for you and also write a personal message to the person in the book. If you go through like booklocker.com or go through Ingram or Barnes & Noble, because it's everywhere, it's not personalized unless you don't really care. But if you care, like I care for people that read about me, is I like to be able to give them a note inside, a personalized, note inside, and have it signed so that they know it came from the true author. Because when you get it just from all these other places, you're just getting it from a bookstore and you're not really connecting. And I'd rather have that connection with the people that are asking for the book. So again, if you want the book, hit me up on Facebook, go under Cheryl Ann Elliott-Fletcher and send me a little note, say, hey, girly girl, I'd like to have your book. And I'd say, okay, I do Venmo, or I do, you can just send it to me by check. And once it clears, then I send the book out. I've got all sorts of ways to, they can pay me even through Facebook, but I'm not real trusty with that, going through Facebook. I'd rather people go through Venmo or some other
something
way.
more secure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because almost every book I have that's from the author is signed. Almost every one. And have I read them all?
Not everybody does right away.
I'm trying.
Right away, people, oh, look, like Jeff told me, Jeff and him and I are real good friends. And one afternoon when I got all done with my book, I'm talking about Jeff Mudgett. I told him the book's done, and he was like, I'm really excited to read it. So then I sent it to him, and he told to me, he called me up and he's like, I really like your book. So I really like your book. And I said, well, that's a huge compliment coming from Mudgett, Well, then he says to me, but as many books as I've sold. I said, yeah. And how many you're going to sell? He says, not everybody reads your book.
No.
I'm like, I don't want to hear that. And he says, no, that doesn't mean they're not going to read it. They just may read it in time, or they may take their time reading it, like a chapter here and or there.
Yeah.
One day here and then another day, and they'll pick it up at, bathroom reading material,
as long as they're not using it for bathroom material.
Exactly. In the other
good.
ways. Yeah.
Ran out of toilet paper. Oh, well.
No. Yeah. Oh, that part right there would work well.
this part of the book was shit.
Right. This one will work definitely because this one was full of shit. No.
So where you live, it could happen. Where I live, it could happen. We could run out of toilet paper because of a hurricane.
No.
So, but no.
Yeah.
I think I have enough.
Me too. I've got quite a bit. Oh my Lord have mercy. Yeah, we go to Sam's and we stock up because we know the crazies out there that can really go out there and buy up all the toilet paper to the point nobody even has any. So it's just ridiculous.
Well, down here, looking at watching the news, watching everything fly out of the stores, and
right.
That part. As soon as the governor said state of emergency in 33 counties, I told Ron, I said, we've got to get gas. I said,
yep. Number one.
Almost everything else, we might want to get a little extra water and maybe an extra loaf of bread. I said, but other than that, I said, I'm not too concerned. But it's gas is the big thing here. Is that they tell everybody to fill up your 5-gallon jugs with gas jugs so that you have gas because it's going to take a few days to get it. And it's like, okay, well, honestly, I don't go anywhere. You want to hear something funny? We lived here 3 weeks before I had to get gas.
Yeah. You didn't go anywhere. You
unpack. Even if I do, everything's 5 minutes away.
Well, not only that, you had a lot to do at home. You probably didn't go as far as much until
the furthest we have driven has been an hour and a half. And that was to see my cousin when she was down in at 30A.
Yeah.
And so that was an hour and a half away. And then the next place we drove was to Buc-ee's over in Alabama, which was 45 minutes away. So we haven't done anything. We've been invited to do a lot of things, an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And, but we just haven't wanted to go anywhere. Oh, I'm so sorry, Stephanie. My grandmother had Parkinson's. So I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
So you'll be in my prayers. And so I saw that you changed what you said you are on Facebook.
Yeah, I did.
So I saw that you're becoming a real person. as in REEL.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? What's going
What does
on?
that clarify me as today? That clarifies me today as a writer, producer, director of my own movie, which will be airing on big screen here in Lincoln, Nebraska at the Joyo Theater on October 1.
Ah,
Yeah, that how that spiraled from the book to making a movie was I said, Cheryl, you have a lot more to give to people about an incident that actually happened to me about 8 years ago, which time after the situation happened, Mark and I talked about it on the way home. We were helping my son clean a house he was moving out of, him and his girlfriend, to move to another place. And I went outside while everybody was taking a break to go out and have a cigarette down the alleyway. And then I used to smoke. I don't smoke anymore, but uh, while outside, I remember when I was taking the last few puffs off the cigarette, I had a really strange incident happen. I turned around to go back to my son's back door, and they all looked the same, Denise. It was like a condo, and it had like lattice that would separate each patio with a sliding door. So there were like 6 different condos. And as I'm standing outside, I'm looking over at these petitions, and I'm thinking, which one was Bobby's, my son's? I couldn't remember. And so I started to walk up the alley, and as I did, I just didn't feel normal. And so I was like, okay, which one is Bob's? And I go to like the third one, and I go to reach, I walk up onto the patio, and I go to reach for the handle to pull the door because I thought I was at the right place. In split second, I was greeted with a man face to face, and he said, "What the F do you want?" And I said, "Oh God." I said, "I'm so sorry. I thought it was the right house." He goes, "No, your effing son lives 2 more down." He said, "And if you don't get the F out of here, I am not going to be responsible with what happens." And I stood back and I went, "And you don't know my son either, do you?" And I proceeded to back up, and I went around the lattice and went to the next one. And here I could see Mark and Bob and Sam, cleaning. And I go to open the door, and I sit there and I looked at Bob, and he goes, "What's wrong, Mom?" I said, I got inside, and I just stood there. And he said, "What's wrong?" And I told him what happened. And he kind of leaned against me. And Bob, if you see Robert on my Facebook back page, he's he's a power lifter. He's big boy. And he kind of leaned me against the wall, and he looked me in the eyes. He said, "Mom, at that moment, you could have been taken." And right under my nose, we might not have found you for a long time.
Mhm.
So after the incident happened, my son proceeded to go out the door. And my son carries, he's not afraid, military, he's not afraid of nothing. And he goes down and goes down and goes down to that same door, the same door I thought was the same one, and knocked on the door and tried to open it, and it was locked. The shades were pulled. So Mark and I talked about that for 5 years. And I built off from that scenario into something that no one has ever thought of doing. No one has ever produced a film like this one. And the way the whole thing went down was I said, you know what? Hollywood has a huge script for everybody. Everybody knows what the camera's going to be, what you're going to say, your lines, and all this stress of people. I'm going to go out and make a movie, whereas we're going to give you 1 line, 2 lines, and you're going to run with it with what's in your heart and your deepest fear and your deepest scary thing that's ever happened to you or what you could imagine could happen. And you're going to make something of this movie because you guys, you 5 people are going to make this movie what it is and what it will be on improvisation, short lines, short everything, and you run with it and give me what you know you can do with it. I directed that. Well, it was my whole baby. I directed it along with another gentleman who did all the filmography. And we had cinematography, and we filmed this show in 2 days, nonstop. We all got maybe a couple hours of sleep in between. I had rented a specific location, a cabin that was very haunted. This movie has the genre of sex trafficking, drug dealing, mafia, paranormal, and money laundering for a specific type of blood.
Hmm.
So, with that all being said, you've never heard of this before. And when you see this movie is going to blow you completely. Like, what in the F? What? This is not something you're going to see. Well, let me put it to you this way. This movie is going to make every person in the whole wide world wonder how things can come in and out of a house in a specific thing and not ever be noticed. Now, with that being said, you have to see the movie. You're not going to believe this. Denise,
Yeah.
you're listening.
I'm intrigued. So,
Mm-hmm.
And hello, Brandon and Renee. So,
with this movie, I believe I sent you the DVD cover. There will be.
I think you did.
There will be DVDs, but that cover that I sent you for the DVD, I'll send you the new one. You can go ahead and share that. It's already copyrighted. The movie has I applied for the copyrights to the movie right away. The movie is called 1 in 6 million. And when people see it, they'll understand what that means.
Let's see.
1 in 6 million.
Let me see if I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not seeing it.
I will send you the new revised one because at the movie, we are going to be selling the DVDs. They're going to be Blu-ray and also just regular CD. And if somebody wants that movie, it will become also a YouTube video teaser. It won't show the whole movie. You're going to have to purchase the DVD to have the movie.
Yeah,
But
I don't. Yeah, I don't have it. I don't.
I'll get it to you.
Yeah.
It is something that I'm only sharing to people that have blog talk shows or have legitimacy in like a radio show. I'm not sharing it up in Facebook yet because all the actors and the actresses in this, we are like, we all own this movie. So we are very protected with what we have until it's out on the big screen. And that's October 1st at 1:00 in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's going to be premiering at a big theater. And by the way, that's the same theater that I did my gallery reads because it's so haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am so excited for you and everybody in it. I hope that actually, I already know this. I know that it's going to be a big success, and it's going to be, like I said, the idea is intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hit just one genre.
Yeah.
So,
well, like I said, when I sat down and thought about this clear through, I said, you know what? There's one thing that people need to understand is that when you have that idea, don't let anybody stop you. Go at it with everything in you, and no matter what people say, no matter what, the only person who's going to make you a success in the world is you. And if you want to have, if you want to be recognized, if you want to have and leave your mark in society, you know, your dreams and things that you think about doing will not only leave a legacy for your family, but it'll also give to you what, you know, you're an example to other people. Like with me writing that book, I just sat down and said to everybody that I love, look, leave me alone. Let me get a hold of you when I'm done. There would be days I'd get up in the morning and I'd sit right here at this table and I would have my coffee, right? And I'd be on my computer until I went to bed and I was still in the same clothing or still in the same pajamas that I got up in. And I'd go take a quick shower, no makeup. I didn't care because I wasn't looking for anybody to talk to. I was writing. That was what drove me, was knowing that one day I was going to see that in print.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kept me going. And no matter what was going on in the world, it was about me. It was me. It was about me time. I've done enough throughout all my years of living. Now it's going to be about me and writing this book. And so I didn't quit. When I would quit, it would be to go to sleep, or I'd get up and eat something and come back and I'm right back on it. I didn't look, I never once hardly ever seen the sun go down or go up and notice it because I didn't know. I didn't know time. All I did.
There's time does not exist when you're doing something that you really want to do, that you're motivated to do.
Right. And you know, the cool thing about it though too, Denise, is that when you're involved in you and doing truly you and not allowing anybody to keep you from being you and doing you,
Mm-hmm.
that especially when you write a book, you're involved in your memories and you're not only are you pulling that stuff out of you, but you're self-helping yourself too with the crap that I went through all these years to be where I'm at today. You know, the ups and the downs and the, you know, people used to tell you, oh, write it down, it's help, you know, it helps to grow past the point in your life. And I did that, but it was in a book. Some of the memoirs and the events and the chronicles of my life is in that book, opposed to, I'm not schizophrenic.
Yeah.
I'm just gifted and I love who I am. And, you know, I did it for me and my son, you know, I did it for Robert, my son. And then going off and doing this book, now I've done the movie, and now people are like, what's next?
Well, you know, you're creating a legacy.
Yeah.
For Robert.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Mark is probably just loving watching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
you know, he would come home from work and he'd come in the door at like 20 after 3 and he'd look at me and he'd go, long day, huh? My hair would be like this and a clip, you know, and it'd look like that and no makeup on. And I'm drinking my coffee and I'm over here just typing away. And Mark would sit and watch TV. And he said there would be times where he would sit and look over there at me and go, I'm going to bed. And I swear to God, it'd be like, you're doing what? That fast. And I kid you not. I mean, I was so busy working on getting that book done. I didn't even know when it was light and when it was night.
Believe me, I understand. I go through days where it seems like I can work from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night, and still my mind is still going. Mm-hmm. When I go to bed and I can't sleep until 2 a.m. and turn around and still get up at a decent time, or I'm just emotionally exhausted and I go to bed at 10 and get up at 10. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, that's with like 5 times getting up in the middle of the night, but that's a whole different problem. But, you know, again, you're doing something that you love and it's something you want to share with the world. And we don't always get to share. We don't always get to share ourselves with the world.
Right.
We share ourselves with a few select people, and that's it. So,
you know, what's really exciting is to be able to have the opportunity, you know, to do what I'm doing. not everybody has that opportunity. I know a couple of friends that keep saying, God, I wish I could sit down and write that book. And I said, you know what? I know you work all day and I'm retired, so I can do what I'm doing. I'm retired, but I've worked all my life to get to where I'm at today. So I could do this book and go out and create a movie that's just going to blow people's minds. I can't wait. I'm just, because the guy that's doing all my edits and everything with the movie and putting it together real beautifully. I was working with my sister Joni today in Beatrice, Nebraska, 40 miles away. So I'm flying home to do this interview, right? Joni and I were going back through the CD cover. She's the designer of the CD cover. She's an artist. And we were looking at this tonight and we were buying these, getting these DVDs or Blu-ray out for her shelf because, she made the covers and she's printing them off. And I'm watching this come off going, that's me. That's my story, and this is going to be, people are going to buy this and they're going to watch this movie at home and go, I know her, and then go, oh my God, because they will never, ever walk away from this movie the same. Never.
Is there going to be any way to get it digitally for those of us who do not have DVD players?
You know what? Nobody has asked me that, but yeah, we'll figure it out. I have the guy that exactly would do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you for asking me that, because I will text Eric and say, hey, what about digital? What are we going to do with that piece?
Right. Because, I know that there are people out there that have bought an episode, just bought an episode of a TV show because they don't have a DVD player or, they don't have a CD player. So they bought their music. So we've got to, we got to know that stuff. To make
I'll definitely give you that info and you can throw it up on your page, but I will definitely talk to Eric. We've got past the point of getting the DVDs ready to sell, at the movie and, get those to people. And, that's a great approach. That's something I haven't even thought about doing, but I do appreciate it because now it's,
Because now at this point, you got 32 days.
I'm good. We can get her done. We got this, holy mackerel, man. I'm telling you what, like I said, I'm going to send it to you when we get off here. I just have to go open the file and send it to you. But when you see that, you're going to go, oh my God. And then you can holler at Keith and get him up and get him going on a show.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely get Keith. I'm working on filling in my Mondays and some of our Tuesdays because because with me and Carl sharing a show, it's always good to have an overflow or an overabundance of guests so that everybody can get as much time as they need on air. So I'm not too concerned about that. But me personally, I'm taking off next Monday because it's a holiday.
Yeah.
So,
what I would like to do after the show comes out is get Keith Ottersberg up here, Faith Ford, and Zach and Mark, and all of us come up because I'm talking about the characters in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would really appreciate being able to, talk to your audience about how it went down, what they felt about it. Because you see, me and Mark are the only two with Eric who will be viewing the rough cut, and that's happening here next week.
Okay.
And then that gives Eric 2 weeks time to go ahead and make any changes if I feel necessary. If I see things in it that I need differently or, whatever, that gives him 2 weeks to get it done before it is handed off for the first DVD handoff to the owner of Joyo.
So are you going to have the outtakes?
Oh, yeah.
What hit the floor? floor at the
Oh
end.
my God. Okay, so like we're gonna have, in the beginning, that's gonna creep everybody out. But then you'll see the show, and then you'll see the bloopers. You'll see the credits. You will also have an opportunity to hear my interview before it went out on film, and then after.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the ending will be, yeah, I'm just telling you, I swear to you, you're not going to be the same with what you see.
Well, I just hope that it doesn't piss me off
It
like
was.
The Village did.
Oh,
The movie
what?
The Village pissed me off.
The Village? What do you mean?
That movie just made me mad.
I don't know.
One time, I'm going to have to get Carl to watch it, and we're going to have to talk about that. But that movie just irritates the life out of me because.
What's it about? I don't even know.
Okay, so M. Night Shyamalan did this movie.
Oh.
So guys, go out there and watch it. So what they do is, in a nutshell, these people decide that they want to leave society. They buy this area that's like in a national park that's in a no-fly zone, so no planes are going over. And they tell their family that they're 100 years or more before it is. So they are living primitively in their own little village with no electricity and all these things that we all have come used to.
What?
So then it gets weird.
I'm like, oh, now I got to go watch it because it's like, what in the world? I've never heard of this. Never.
This movie just pissed me off to no end. And with M. Night Shyamalan, he can write in a way that's very similar to Stephen King, to where you don't know what's going to happen next. There's not a foreshadowing effect. It's like, think about The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Most people did not know that Bruce Willis was dead until near the end. And we should have known it when the kid says,
yeah,
terrified.
Right?
And everybody should have known right then. Okay.
Dead people. It's like,
yeah. And the guy, so, and nobody notices that Bruce Willis does not change clothes.
Right. Oh, yeah.
These things are things that, I saw.
Oh my God.
I swear, I think I knew he was dead, but I was hoping that he wasn't, I think is what it was more, but you never saw him come out of the hospital, and you never see anything other than his wife crying. And then, especially when they go out to dinner, or he thinks they're going out to dinner and she doesn't even talk to him, or she was eating at the table and there was only a place for one, there's a lot of things. So check out The Village with M. Night Shyamalan. And
I'm going to check
you
that
get
out.
pissed off at it because I talk about this movie every time I get a chance because
it made you that mad. Holy cow.
If I had seen this movie in the theater, I probably would have made.
Ask for your money back. Ask for your money back.
No, I don't think I would have asked for my money back. I would have said that it was that I would have probably created a ruckus, and people probably would have decided that they wanted to talk to me about this to see why. But it was just weird.
What was his name again? I'm writing it down.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay.
He had a near-death experience when he was a kid. So he is very creative, and I am impressed with him as a writer.
Right.
And so keep that in mind. So Carl, you got some homework. I'm going to have to find it too, and we're going to have to talk about that. So, well, Cheryl Ann, I'm going to be, my show's only been an hour here recently because I'm trying to get back into this. Tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook. Easy enough. They can just go and look me up under Cheryl Ann Elliott-Fletcher, Fletcher. Or they can go over to Cheryl Ann's fan page on Instagram, and I'm over there too. Or Cheryl Ann Fletcher over on LinkedIn. So I'm everywhere. And if you can't find me, I'm on Denise's page, obviously, and you can find me there and friend me and, go from that way too. But yeah. And if they want a book, if anybody wants that book, let me know, message me, and we'll go about it that way. But when that movie comes out, October 1 at 1 p.m. here in Lincoln, Nebraska, we're going by limo. And we're having the red carpet. We have people coming to do photography and filming on the news. It's a big deal here. It's going to be a real big deal.
Oh, I'm proud of you. I can't wait to hear all about it.
I wish you could be here.
Well, what's really bad, it could be snowing up there October 1st. Who knows?
Yeah. But this movie's coming out at the right time.
It is.
For Halloween. Yeah.
It is the perfect time. So everybody, thank you so much for coming and listening to the show tonight and having your comments made over there. I will not have a show next Monday because of Labor Day, so make sure you guys enjoy your family time. I will be back on September 11th, which really should be a holiday too, I feel. September 11th is my sister Donna's birthday, who was in chat earlier. But my guest that night will be Katie and Katie Stafford. So I can't wait to hear from them to see what's been going on there. And join us tomorrow night for Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, at 5 p.m. Central with me and Ron and Carl. And who knows what we're going to be talking about. But I'm going to tell you, it's probably not going to be The Village because I don't know where it is yet. So rewatch. So
thank you, Denise, for having me on, and thank you everybody for coming in, and be sure to share it up for Denise, and get the exposure out there for her and myself. That would be wonderful.
So yep, see you guys all tomorrow night and September 11th. Happy Labor Day and prayers for Florida during this hurricane season. So have a good night, everyone. Hi.